Hello everyone on YouTube and welcome to a new 3D Artcore tutorial. Today we will learn how to use a mental proxy object. Now this is a really interesting subject because I created a tutorial part, not so lately about the arena basketball court, and there was this part where we created a chair and I should have like duplicated thousands of times all over the tribune, and I decided to back off of this only because I had a really hard time on maneuver in this scene with this huge amount of polyface, poly count. So basically, therefore, the guys who created those, apps, 3D apps, and whatever, um, they invented this method, which basically it's taking your model, whatever model you will choose, and you convert it to a proxy mesh. And this is like, I don't know, some kind of a copy of your high resolution mesh, but it's just uh, importing it into your scene without the real geometry. I'm not sure how exactly that's working, though I do really recommend you to maybe read about this. So I'm gonna show you example of how we can use this. So let's say I will create a new project folder for this. Okay, click create. Let's call this proxy. Okay, and whatever, accept. Let's set this. Okay, to proxy. Okay, set. Now, let's say we have a lot, I don't know, something with a lot, just a lot of geometry next to it. This here and this here. I don't know, I'm just creating some object, okay? Something with no sense of creativity. Just an object like this, okay? I don't know, some kind of a snowman or something. I'm joking. Anyway, you see right now the amount of faces is 2000k and 6. Okay, now what you want to do, you want to assign the shaders and everything before you actually export it as a proxy mesh. So after you set your I don't know, whatever, let's say I'm gonna set this assign new material. I'm gonna use mental ray. We're gonna use mental ray. This is what I said earlier, mental ray proxy objects. So I'm gonna set this to red, assign material, X, I will set this to green, and just two of them, okay? So I'm gonna grab all of that. And what I will do here is I'm gonna go over edit, first of all, delete by type history. I'm gonna freeze the transformation. And I wanna make sure it's on the grid, okay? Put it on top of the grid, just like so, or something like that. Okay, just on the grid. And you want to go over File, Export Selection, click on this checkbox. And here, you want to reset this. And you want to change this to mental ray. Okay, you shouldn't reset this if you never used it. So anyway, just make sure it's mental ray. And you don't want to do anything about except this. You just want to go over Export, Selection. While it's selected, by the way, it must have been selected. You want to give it a name. So let's call this, I don't know, snowman. Okay. And change here. Well, let's change this. All right. No. Go over here, export selection output, and make sure that you set this to render proxy assembly. Okay. When you do this, you can actually click export selection. Okay. Now you don't need to save this. If you do want, you're welcome to do so, but you don't really have to. I'm going to create a new file. File new scene. Don't save. I have a cube here that I created right now, and this cube has only 6 faces. So what I'm going to do, we're going to change here to this polycube shape 1 in the attribute editor, okay, and expand the mental ray tab, and from the render proxy, click on this icon and load up your proxy file that you saved. Okay, so I will find it here under proxy scenes. Okay, snowman. Click open, and you will see immediately the cube is got bigger according to the size of the entire shape that we created earlier. So now all you have to do is go over Window, Setting Preferences, Plugin Manager, load up Maya 2MR. Okay, it's already loaded to me here, but I'm just making sure that you understand that you have to do this. Maya 2MR, close this, go over render settings, choose render using mental ray, and you can close this as well. Now, the cube is still 6 faces. You can see it's the only object that we have in the scene. So I'm gonna render this, and you will see that we have the entire other objects that we just exported as proxy mesh, okay? And you can see it's signed with the same shaders and everything, the whole structure. The only thing that you do need to be aware that you need to have some indication on what is the direction, the position of this object. So I don't know if it was a chair that you want it to face in some direction. So you want to first take a render and see exactly where this uh, mesh is, okay, pointing to or whatever. So now with this 6 faces, basically, you can duplicate it a lot of times and Control D. Well, I do Shift D. Let's say this is a lot of cubes, and I can Control D to duplicate them that way. Simply create a field of those, and you can see Maya really doesn't have problem to deal with this. I mean, it's only cubes with 6 faces each of them, and we can still fill up the screen with those. And if I will take render from here, well, you see the work area is moving, everything's fine, no problem. We only sit on 10K of faces. Okay, and you can see we have the same shapes duplicated all around there, right? So yeah, this is pretty much what it is. Just don't forget whenever you export this thingy, whatever you have on your scene that you need to massively duplicate it a lots of time, and it's already an iPoly. You just need to make sure that you uh, export this as assembly, okay? Whatever I show you there, this object, this option here. Whenever you're gonna export this, okay, make sure you set it to render proxy assembly. And that's all. Maybe you can do this even with planes. I don't know. Let's try plane. I'm not sure that it will work with plane, but we can try this. Let's set plane to this. I'm gonna change the plane settings to 1. And this is really just one face, I mean. So I'm not sure that it worked, but we can try. Snowman, again, render this. Mentor ray. Oh, by the way, um, if you're using earlier versions of Maya, you probably will have to go over the cube that you create and go over the polyplane and make sure that renderable is ticked. Okay, and let's see if this will give us the same thing. Yeah, still there, even though it's just one um, face. See, so you can duplicate it even more this time, and still won't do any effect like start to lagging or I don't know what. Well, it didn't duplicate it that times, so I will have to extract them manually here. But I think this shape is a little bit harder to control. I mean, if you want to position this, you need to make sure that it is as it is and just rotate it in this direction or something. Just on the X direction, nothing more. Or Y direction. Well, you need to be careful with this. Control D. And this over here. Shift D. Let's take a render and see what that brings us. Everything's still there. Okay, so this is it for this tutorial. I hope this was helpful in some way. Well, I'm sure it is if you haven't been get into this anywhere in the past. So it will probably solve a lot of your problems in the work area, especially if you have like a very low graphic card and very low, I don't know, CPU or whatever. Thank you for watching again. Have a good day and see you at the next part, tutorial, or whatever I'm gonna release. Bye bye.